This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone joining virtually. This is our second walking audit, and we're doing more of an evening one. It is quite a windy day, so I apologize now if the audio comes in a little bit muted because of the wind. But we've got a nice crowd here today. Excited. We're going to get a different perspective from last time, and hopefully we'll be picking up some other things that we hadn't seen before. But we're going to be walking the same limits as last time. For those of you that don't know, we'll be walking from this intersection over here at 41st, and then we're going to be walking all the way to 58. So exciting. We're ready to begin, and we're going to, in a moment, start walking this way before we turn back around and then start walking the full length of the limit. All right, thank you. All right, everybody. We're going to go get. And again, we're not going to start looking until, well, you can if you want. I mean, so we're noticing some things already as we're headed to the end point here, the start point. All right, and so before we start, for all those that are joining virtually, first I'll mention that as we are walking, we already have seen quite a few things, and we'll give some examples. I know, Alicia, I know you saw some things.
Adding pictures to our
Yeah,
slideshow.
she was pointing out some potential trip hazards, some ADA issues, and I'm sure other people throughout the group have also seen something as we're walking. But we're going to probably notice those again, and then some more as we head back in that direction. But right now, we are going to stop to take a group photo because, of course, if we don't get a picture, then it never happens. So we're going to get a photo. Exactly. All right. So does anybody have? Sorry to interrupt. Does anybody have any observations of this point? Do you see anything that we should be paying attention here? Oh, other than the honking?
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The project that's coming up in 2023 includes 44.
Yes.
So it's going to be 26 to 44.
Yes.
And that includes up to college. So are we taking that into consideration when we're planning this?
Yes, that
As
project.
part of the,
So that project that you're talking about is a resurfacing project. So the main point of those resurfacing projects are to bring the pavement condition up to our standards so that it has a smooth ride. So that's the intent of those projects. They do some curb ramp improvements and some push button improvements. They also tend to put high emphasis crosswalks in. So it's those big, bold, white, high emphasis crosswalks. But as far as any reconstruction, nothing there.
that's
Nothing.
there's a long list of things that includes light.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of
Yeah. So
There's
those
going to be a meeting on that.
absolutely, and those improvements are going to be included in what we
Envision.
Yes.
Because it does cross over.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. There is some overlap.
Okay.
So that project will include some improvements, but not to the extent of what we're going to do. Okay. All right.
There's a question in the back, I think.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yes, go ahead.
There's a road pavement, so there are holes in it that someone could really trip in it. So there could be like an accident, like someone falling on their face and
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely. So yeah, that other project is going to be taking care of those big potholes and the things that are in the roadway itself.
So I think the people should definitely fix the pavement.
Absolutely, and they're going to. They are
We
going
have a
to.
future MBNA member.
I know. I think we have a future FDOT employee.
FDOT as well. Good job.
Oh, you're going to be
All the thinking cap on, $5
All right. But also pay attention right here to just even the crossing and how we're feeling. So I'd encourage everyone to pay attention to how you're feeling as you're walking along. So if you feel like, oh, I feel like I need to get away from the edge of the roadway. I feel like I need to step back. Yeah. So we want to be paying attention to how we're feeling too. Is it comfortable? Do we feel safe? So pay attention to those things and make note on your clipboards. If you notice an area where like, ooh, I think we need maybe some protection here. So pay attention, mark all those things down.
So do I mark the pavement quality?
You can mark whatever you want, and I've got maps here too. Yeah, we've got maps. Yeah, and so very exciting. We are going to start moving in this direction, and everybody just be paying attention to everything around you. All right, perfect. And you can actually, what you should do is be looking for the sidewalk. You don't want anything that you think you might trip on. You might want to make note of that. So, yeah, perfect. Excellent job. All right. All right, let's start moving. Oh, I think. And I want to let everyone know that what I'm going to be doing today. Sorry, we got some greetings here. But I do want to let everyone know what I'm going to be doing today is I may be coming up to you to ask what you're seeing. So I will be doing that today. And if you're seeing anything, you let me know. If you don't see anything at that point, you just wave me on. Okay?
You see marking.
You see? Okay.
That is on the list.
Perfect. He's seeing some utility markings that are existing on the sidewalk, and I know that's a big concern for this community. So yes, we do see the marked utility here that are happening along the sidewalks. Perfect.
It's very hard to miss.
Very hard to miss that. And I know you had already said about the bus stops.
Yeah.
And we've got a pretty sizable bus stop there.
Oh, yeah. We don't have an overhang. We just have a sign.
Yep.
On this side, we have a sign and a fence. The other side, I think it's just a sign.
Absolutely.
But that's what our residents are talking about.
Exactly.
And, I mean, I don't know how much the bus stop gets used, but for those that do use it, and it's also the trolley zone.
Oh, and that's information that we can have access to. Is that how many people are actually using each bus stop?
Yeah.
So that we can make sure that we are taking that into account of whether even that bus stop is necessary.
Although what happens is, if it's not necessary, if no one uses it, it's not an issue. You can talk about it.
Well, exactly, but
That's a good part.
yeah, well, but is that space that could be used for something else on the sidewalk? Mm-hmm.
Well, it's off the sidewalk.
Unless there's a bus bench and
I know, I've used it from time to time when I go down to the convention center without bothering.
absolutely, yeah.
I don't want to drive there.
And I do, if no one's noticing it right now we are in the middle of an intersection. We are in the middle of an intersection. This is a red. Thankfully, it's a no-go for the cars coming this way, but we are in the middle of an intersection. Hi. We have gotten an observation here. We've got lots of landscaping. We got lots of landscaping that happens to be right in our path of travel. So we kind of have to do a little obstacle course here to try to get around them. And actually, this would be a wide sidewalk without these palm trees in the middle of them. But because of it, it makes it kind of narrow.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Lighting. There's mostly lots of lighting, but I don't really see any lighting.
Yeah, lots of.
On the street, like the lights
Mhm.
are always next to each other. And I'm not seeing them.
We've got lots of driveways, people trying to turn into this driveway here. Thankfully, they saw us, even around those parked cars. We have any observations from you? No? All right.
Okay, right now we're good.
All right, we're good. I will. All right. All right. We definitely have a bit of an obstacle here. I stepped in that hole. So everyone be careful as you're walking. We do have a pinch point here caused by the trash can and the hole that's right next to the tree. And then, of course, we're squeezing on past by the bus stop and the bus bench. There's a nice feature there. You got some coverage by the palm trees ahead. But all right. Everyone should have alerted everyone. Again, we were in the middle of an intersection without any awareness that we were. All right. We're walking along. Up some speeding vehicles as we pass. All right, what are we checking off? Lighting? Do you see the ground in lighting over here? Is that what you're seeing? Yeah. Have you been out here as it's gotten dark? Yeah. Are these working, functioning? Good. I have noticed that some of them, as we were walking the other day, were still on in the morning. So I don't know if it's a 24-hour.
We see the beach walk lights light up at night. They're on. Very nice.
Four of them checked off.
Good. So also, if anybody happens to be looking at or focused on drainage today, we do have some ponding happening. So if you were focused on drainage, this is a good opportunity to make note of drainage on your sheets. You can see there's some puddling that's happening here. And also, I'm pretty sure this driveway is probably pretty heavily used and makes it kind of difficult for us as we're walking along. Hopefully everyone's looking as they're pulling in.
If they see the water going that way, that there must be a drain.
Yes, look at him. He is an engineer in the making. He's noticing that if the water's flowing in that direction, the drain is probably in that direction. And you are most likely right.
Basically,
All right. And then we also, what did you just say? What did you just say about what are you seeing? You seeing garbage, right? Yeah, he was noticing the garbage in the ponding. So, yes.
wind on the list.
He's asking if wind is on the list. Wind is actually not on the list, but it maybe should be on the list. Oh my God! Yes, we've got the noise and the wind, so quite a few elements to be paying attention to right now. Can you hear me? I'm going to be going to the back of the group here, seeing if anybody has anything. All right. And we have the youngest member already pointing out some of the drainage problems and the trash in the ponding. But any observations in this group?
Well, we were noticing the trip hazards in the back, the obstacles with the palm trees in the middle, the drainage on the side. If you're in a wheelchair or you're using a walking device, it would be very difficult to be able to navigate around those palm trees and around the area. The amount of trash or litter that is found throughout the area, the maintenance of even the landscaping in the next to and in the medians and kind of in the area, the crossing of the driveways, the conflicts without any clear designation.
And I think the noise is also another factor.
Due to the waterways, we're very lucky that the noise is actually reduced. Compared to past 53rd Street, there is a great deal of noise. What we did also notice here was the need for a loading zone for these hotels from 41st all the way to 53rd. There is no designated loading zone, so the trucks will park parallel to the cars and will block sight for pedestrians to cross, bicyclists to get through, and for cars to navigate safely on the road. But the noise really picks up just past 53rd.
All right, and we'll probably notice that. I'm sure I don't know if we'll have the same opportunity to hear the ambulances come through that area at that time, but we'll definitely be able to hear what the noise impacts of crossing that is. Dan, where's the right-of-way lines in this? What the right-of-way lines in this project?
You know, basically they're pretty much off the sidewalk. So we know where the utilities are. They're still in the right of way.
So they were pointing out back there situations where it was tight. You know, will you be able to rectify that? If it's in the right of way, you'll be working on
Well,
that.
there's two things. Down in this southern section, there's actually right of way on the west side. So if you're kind of reconstructing the whole roadway, you can push on that side easier than on this side. The challenge with going to the right side is that it really is the side slopes. Tiffany's probably already said in some places the sidewalk is uneven because a lot of the driveways have a grade distribution.
So if you make it really nice, if it's pedestrian friendly, if it's bike friendly, you're gonna have a lot more folks walking.
Yeah.
And having those real tight situations like that is not great.
Yeah,
well, Alicia asked about design standards, and for this type of road, the design standard is a 10-foot wide sidewalk. And this is about 7,
It should
but
be
not
10-foot wide lanes.
at least 2 of them. Yeah.
Yeah. In a context
on the south side to get more.
We're more right of way. On this
So on
side,
the right of way, we were the community was under the impression that those properties were deeded to the properties here, and so that past that sidewalk, it was not the state's; they were private property.
it appears that you have to go about though. So it's 1,500 feet from 41st Street. Then here, that's all right of way. There, you can see that there's a lot of condos. There still are on this side of the street a lot of strips of
But where the
property.
hotels are, it's not their right of way.
That's not what we're seeing in
Only
the
in the
plat
private
maps.
condos.
When you get to where the road starts to curve, there's about a dozen strips that go across the road.
So
but that's where the road curves in and buildings start to appear on the west side.
So the pinch point that the Department of Transportation often reminds us of on the 44th Street that exists with we have a large amount of green space, but there's a pinch point. We only have 2 lanes going north and 3 lanes going south because we have parking on the street. At that point, do we have right of way onto the west side where we would be able to expand?
I haven't looked south of 44th, and you have to transition. But
Okay.
like right here, we do. Now there you can see evidence all the utilities. So there's a bunch of boxes right there. So you have the land to push over, but it just might be really expensive to move those boxes. So that's what you have to look at. Pros and cons to where you have the land.
There's no price on this project. It's a once in a generation project. We're doing it right or we're not doing it at all. We said that 4 years ago, it got stopped, and we just want to make sure we get it right this time. That's all that matters to us.
And you've heard the term SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. That's definitely true because there might be problems with those utilities.
Right, there might be threats, yeah.
Well, no, but there might be somebody that says, we'd love to replace those utilities with something better, but we need something like a roadway project to make it happen. We don't know that yet, but there are opportunities like that.
What about the water and drainage? We've heard many times in 2017 when this project was originally proposed to the community, the biggest concern was the water and drainage project that was going to uplift the road and be constructed for 3 years, 2 to 3 years. Do you know how that is being considered in your design?
Again, that's something that we will.
Sorry.
We will let.
We're like a very large palm tree.
Yeah. We'll work with you to kind of figure out the best short-range and long-range options. And it's the same type of thing, is that if you're building this for a century, you probably should raise the road. If you're building it for the 25-year lifespan of most roadway construction projects, and then, I'm talking about global warming, sea level rise, that kind of stuff. We have a decision to make about how important it is to resolve drainage for a longer lifespan.
That's something which you get to finish.
Absolutely. We'll keep walking. A good conversation there. All right, and I know that we do have interest in looking at the crossing opportunities that exist, and even ones that could be enhanced. I know you had an interest in looking at crossing opportunities.
On what?
Crossing.
Crossing, yeah.
Yeah. And making sure that those crossings are where they should be, to make sure that they're in line with the bus stops, make sure they're in line with where people are
where
going.
they need it.
Absolutely.
Where they need it.
Absolutely. And again, we're in the middle of an intersection without even knowing. Absolutely. We have to. Yep. So what we're pointing out is, again, the bus stops are not in alignment with where the crosswalks are, which kind of encourages people not to maybe use the crosswalks as the safest options to cross.
The sign is on these signs. The signs are well placed, but as we go further north, the signs are in the middle of the sidewalk. So that was something we found in the last Wednesday's walk too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. When is going to increase this? This is what, 10?
I would say that this is probably. I would say this might.
This might be 10-1.
I would say maybe at its pinch point it could sound to 7, but I feel like this is. I would say this is probably 10. Yeah.
We're not gonna redo all this.
The one thing that I would say that we should, the width of the sidewalk is good. I would say the width of the sidewalk is nice, but
Over there, we have a big problem.
yeah, and
I walked it on Saturday, and whoa, we have a
the sidewalk on the other side is narrower.
Yes.
But what we're noticing though, and I'm sure we're about to hit it, and you'll be able to see that there are points that the slope of the driveways are pulling me, and if I was in a wheelchair, I'd be sliding right down the road.
Protection, they're studying them on Indian Creek. So we're figuring, okay, we can't get what we wanted, which is the waves, but we'll do the zebras. But now our goal is to get the FDOT to allow the city to maintain it with green paint. They are not allowed allowed right now, but they're working on it, correct? That message has to be heard loud and clear. The green
People
paint,
observe the green paint.
people observe the green paint, and the city's willing to maintain it.
I've seen so many places with green paint and then the green paint stops.
Well, because
And
there's
they
no
don't-
continuity.
Right.
That is the issue. Everything has to be tied in the whole city. But the green paint is
So so for those of you that are joining virtually, what we're hearing is we're having discussion about protected bike lanes and how they would envision that, and also some of the treatments like the green paint that the community is wanting. All right, what are we seeing over here? All right, you marked utilities. Excellent. So you're noticing lots of good things.
Are we going to beach walk at entry?
We're going to be going past some beach walk at entry points. Along the route, we will be doing that. No worries. We're not going to be walking along the beach walk today, but I encourage you, hey, you're going to be a future engineer. You can make notes, and I'll make sure to relay those to the city.
We're there every day.
Yes, and you feel free, make notes. I'll send that over to Josie out with the city. Oh, any good comments here?
We're talking about different bike accommodations.
Okay, excellent.
Typically, we were talking about bollards and zebra. What do you call them? Zebra bumpers?
So zebra markings.
Zebra markings,
Okay.
you know, that are like a little speed bump with zebra stripes on it.
Oh, the armadillos.
To protect. Yeah, they look like armadillos. That's
Yeah,
a good
that's what we call it. That's what we
okay,
call
yeah.
them.
To protect the bicyclists. You know, if you invite bicyclists to come, you need to take that extra step and protect them. I was saying how we've had a couple of cyclists who lost their life over on Venetian Causeway. We had the bike lane, beautiful, it was green, it was clearly delineated, and people were still injured.
And that's a very heavily utilized bike facility. Actually, we just did non-motorized counts. Sorry, we did non-motorized counts on just on West Ave, right off of the Venetian, and they were the highest counts in the state of all of our temporary count locations.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. I think if you give Miami Beach residents an opportunity to have alternatives, whether it's pedestrian alternatives or biking alternatives, either one, I think they will be all, you'll see that you're
They're biking on the shoulder of Julia Tuttle, so.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So we definitely hear an interest in bike facilities loud and clear in this corridor, and I see some note taking now. Any comments here?
I think we're reiterating some of the comments we saw in the past, including also like we were noticing some of the signage up here, how it blocks the sidewalk or several signs. When what we could do is have loading zones and have the signage written on the street, on the pavement of the street, rather than having a posted sign in the middle of the sidewalk.
So sign clutter is definitely a problem, and we want to try to
that maybe we could do it on the road rather than in the sidewalk.
Absolutely. That's a good comment. Good observation. And we're gonna try to catch up with the rest of the group. I think they're trying to block themselves from the wind. Absolutely. We're all trying to keep intact, make sure we don't fly into the roadway. Oh, yeah. We're all trying to make sure that we don't fly away. It's a little windy. Testing. Anything? Testing?
Yes, I can hear you. Just 1 second. We're having some technical difficulties with the camera and we're trying to resolve those at this time.
You know, it's funny. I'm not seeing the screen.
All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone joining online. All right. All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll continue then. I think we've got the visual back. Again, it's a pretty windy day, so sorry again if the audio is unclear. Oh, got someone turning into the driveway here. Huh. And we can see a cyclist coming on the side here and then getting up on the sidewalk. Again, confirming kind of the conversation we are having before about bike facilities. And as we're crossing here, we can see, well, we had an individual coming into the driveway here for the blue diamond, the blue green diamond, and then someone coming out. And yet, as a pedestrian, we were walking along almost unaware of the potential conflict. Dan brings up a good point to look at sight distance from driveways, making sure that we have clear sight distance from as someone's entering and exiting the driveway. So that's something that let's keep our eye on and making sure. I mean, this individual, for instance, as they're coming out here, they're trying to see above over the beautiful water feature, but it might make it a bit challenging.
And this one's actually not too bad because the wall is set back quite a ways, whereas other ones have put monumental posts right where the stop sign is. So particularly if you're pulling out, it's hard to see a walker or a biker coming past that monumental post.
Good point, Dan. All right, and for all of you, for everyone watching online, we've gotten to the frontage road here. So now we have this new feature that we didn't have on the other side. I mean, new as we're walking, not new as in newly put in. But you can see, everyone pay attention to the frontage road. This is a hot topic of what, I mean, do we need? It definitely has a function, and we'll just talk about how it's functioning, if that's the ideal solution.
Safe. Even though I always go to the light, I would rather go a little further.
Absolutely.
I don't like these hunting ones.
And conversations we had last time, but I'm sure we're still pointing out. Again, the potential trip hazard here and other trip hazards along the sidewalk.
We're having technical difficulties due to the weather with our camera, so give us 1 second.
All right, looks like we're back up and functioning. All right.
If we're paying 24.
So what I think I'll do, so we can have a little conversation, is we'll just get over here, and then we'll talk about what the frontage road is doing and what we're observing, and we'll gather around, see if anybody has any thoughts. Here, we're gonna stop here and just have a little brief conversation. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. So just so everyone online can hear all the conversations we've had and what we've discussed about the frontage road. I know that
When it comes down to where you actually have to turn, so you can see how the traffic accumulates.
absolutely, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's perfect. Wait for the group a little bit here. Oh, I see what she
You have to
means.
get all the way down to 50th. And so we'd like to
All
know
right.
people
Yeah.
Make a left. In order
Okay.
to go south.
Oh, okay.
Anybody,
every time you leave your home, you
Okay.
gotta go all
All
the
the
way down.
way
You gotta get to that light
See.
first.
Yeah.
First.
you have, in other words, if you're coming from the south and you make a left on 41st,
Okay.
in order to go back south,
You have to go up
you have to go to 50th, or you have to get on the frontage road. The frontage road, people tend to want to make a U-turn. They don't want to go right to go left. So it's like, so anybody that is not familiar with the area
You're stuck. You
stays
keep
to
going.
go left and keep going, and then you have to go to 50th from 41st, which is 9 blocks, to take the green arrow to make a legal U-turn. So that is a big problem. The other problem is that if you take the frontage road is blocked with numerous service vehicles throughout the day.
Yes, aesthetic.
And so it's a very uncomfortable road. And the studies have shown for years that most of the accidents happening on Collins Avenue are happening on the frontage road, which was an experimental road, which we all agreed needs to go. So that is one of the reasons why this whole project started, because the frontage road is really a problem. It also makes a lot of condos have to drive X amount of blocks north to be able to go south, which is not a good idea.
There's a turn lane over there.
Right.
With that turn lane, you gotta go across the
So let's say this one here. If this is blocked for whatever reason, this car exiting here doesn't know, has to go here, is blocked. So they end up going on the other lane. They end up crossing the frontage road. It becomes a big mess. So that is obviously one of the primary reasons.
Some smart people to look at.
This, right. So we need to leave a lane. We need a separated bicycle lane with the zebra dividers with green paint, hopefully painted, and then we need to see how many lanes we can leave and how many lanes if we lose a lane. We don't want to lose a lane. But this one could be bike and service road, multi-purpose.
Absolutely, and just make it
Bike and
more
service.
and make it operate in a
more efficient effort. So you can.
Also frontage lane.
So if you've got it blocked, if you have it blocked, if there's a big semi truck here unloading, it's okay. You can go to the next lane. You're not blocked to get out. You don't have to wait or.
Watch out for the trip hazard.
Yeah.
and watch out for the trip hazard as we're
That's the
walking.
one I have a work order for already.
Huh.
That's my building.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to get all the numbers, and they're going to give us a chart.
Here's the bus stop.
Here's a bus stop that needs a new bus stop, and there's no crossing. The crossing is over there. Yes, half a block later.
It's either there or there. You know, and when I'm going south, for whatever reason, taking the bus, I walk over there.
Yeah, the bus stop is in the place the furthest.
The bus stop is not close to the crosswalk.
Yeah.
Which is something that really doesn't make sense. You need to be able to cross, whether you're going to go to your boat or you're going to get a bus close, within 20 feet of a crossing.
Absolutely. All right. All right. And I know we've got multiple conversations going on, and hopefully good discussions further back. But we're gonna gather together in a little bit. And we have a cyclist.
They have nowhere to go. So you see them on the sidewalk going in the opposite direction. There's no way for them to know where they're going or how they're doing this. And that becomes a problem as well. Graffiti.
This is
of an open place. It's probably wider than you need, but
If we need to prioritize the bicycle lane. This is fine for the amount of traffic we get here. Most people are like that gentleman that just crossed on a bicycle, because obviously riding a bike on Collins is you're a kamikaze. Is the only way to do that. Nobody in the world would do that. So they do it, but then they end up going on the sidewalk. So if we leave the sidewalks at this width, good. Good. I'm glad you came by bike. Well, so yeah, sacrificing sidewalk at this point, I don't think it's necessary. I think this is fine.
Leave it at
Leave it at
or
this.
make it a little bit smaller and allocate that space.
They can't make it smaller because now the code is even larger now.
You said 10.
So we can get away with leaving it the way it is, but I doubt we can get away with making it smaller.
That's great feedback. Bicycle lanes,
So the idea
more
would
important than a 10-foot sidewalk.
absolutely.
Yeah, sounds like a big concern is the other side of the roadway.
Maybe we can fill in some water.
I remember that recommends doing a promenade in the middle with like walking areas, and I'm thinking,
In the middle here?
yeah.
On the bike lanes, though, it says by putting the bike lanes in, you have to protect them, because once you encourage or invite people to use them, they
You better
will,
protect them.
and you got to protect them.
So the importance of these bike lanes on Collins, at this point that we just opened the beach walk, and I'm the chair of that beach walk group too, is because what's happening on the beach walk is horrific. The narrow sections of the beach walk are 15 feet wide. And in those 15 feet wide, we have city bikes, tourists that don't even know how to ride bikes. We have bike racers because they can't come on Collins, pedestrians, strollers, dogs on leashes, everybody gathering in a space like this. And we just had a terrible accident, which I'm about to post it. Terrible accident. A lady got hit going behind and flew in the air.
Don't cross the road.
There's accidents happening every day. So by doing this in an emergency manner, by doing bike lanes here, we take the real speeders, the real cyclists out of the beach walk because they don't want to be there. Honestly, they really don't want to be there. They want to go from place to place, or they want to race their bikes without interruption. So that will alleviate the problem that's happening on the beach walk as we speak, which is another long issue that we're dealing with right now. Constantly, our members are complaining about what they're seeing on the beach walk. Beautiful beach walk. We love it. We've been waiting to get it open, and now we have the problems with the bicycles. Now I walked it Saturday, the entire walk, and I had to go on the concrete like this, like oh my God. Like 5 near misses. It's awful. And then we've got electric scooters. And not enough enforcement. It's impossible to get enough enforcement for that. So we have to get the bikes out here. That's the goal.
And I know that we wanted to stop here. I know it was requested to stop here to watch how the queuing is happening. And I think we kind of hit that perfect mark at first to see some of that. But right now you can see that this person here has the red on that. They're waiting to make that U-turn. And you can see we've got these people here actually who are they just stopped in the middle of the road?
Yeah, they can't make a left.
Oh, good.
There's
Okay.
a red no turn.
Oh, okay. I'm okay, perfect. So yeah, so we wanted to make a point to stop here to see how it's functioning. And as you can see, we've got some quick speeders through the frontage road there.
It doesn't function real well because that left turn lane, the people stop. If the pedestrians here, if they're not looking at the signs here and they're seeing that stop, they step off the curb and these cars come barreling through this lane. So they're misled.
Okay, perfect. So yes, we have the pedestrians are confused as to what their action should be because of the different signals that are happening as they cross. All right, perfect. So we'll continue to walk so we can move it along.
When you make that U-turn here, which I live right there, you have to be very aware that there are cars in your blind spot that don't stop. They don't stop. So this is another issue. That's we've had fatalities out here.
I always wait to make sure the first car stops. First car stops.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's lots of concerns with that frontage road as it is in its existing state.
They're definitely concerned with the frontage road.
Yes, definitely concerned. And I am seeing some trash along the way. And that I don't remember seeing the last time. Probably.
We were going to get close to that bus stop that's blocking the walk.
Oh, exactly. All right, we're moving along a little bit faster than we did last time. Partly, I'm sure, because of the wind. And I know a lot of things that we've discussed previously we'll continue to discuss, such as the slopes on the sidewalk, even the conditions of the sidewalk, sort of the patchwork that we're dealing with here. And as you can see, looking ahead, that cyclist just had enough space past that bus stop to get around. And we're in the way of this car trying to move into the driveway. The bus stop.
It's all set up with all these posts blocking the way.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah, the bus stop doesn't leave much space to get around. And also, I think it is a good thing to note, again, we have the bus stop, but if that person that's dropped off at the bus stop needs to cross the road to maybe get to a boat or the docks, where do they cross? And I think that's something definitely to pay attention to.
In there that's going to step up, and I can't. And if I'm on my bicycle, I can't avoid them. They can't avoid me. It's
End up in the street, getting hit by somebody.
they stand up. They see the bus coming. They stand up. This should be see-through.
Oh, yes, I thought I could keep it.
Yeah.
Simple solution.
I tried.
You advertise and will not be on this side.
Absolutely. Or a transparent advertising, if that's something,
Yeah.
that's something that's possible. All right. Continue to walk keep walking. I know that we had some good conversation back there about the bus stop, and I hope that everyone online watching was able to hear that conversation. But now we're going to continue walking. We do see, unfortunately, some trash on the side. And you can hear the lovely parents, so you might be able to hear that in the audio. As I'm walking, I almost tripped, so everyone pay attention to your step. That definitely is something that we should note, though, about the tripping hazards on the sidewalk. And I also, the viewers on watching online, they might not be able to experience this, but we have got multiple people trying to get into the driveways as we're walking, and we also, as we're walking, we can feel the slope of the sidewalk through these driveways. I'll let the rest of the group catch up. All right, we'll keep going. We're good. We're keep going.
We're good. We're right on time.
Yeah, we're making good time today. But something that we really haven't been talking about much today, at least I haven't, and those viewers online have not been able to experience. But a lot of these driveways, you might not be seeing how much activity is coming in and out of them, but there is quite a bit of activity. And we as pedestrians, we're walking along, sometimes on our phone, sometimes we listen to music, maybe having a conversation, which we're often having, and we're not realizing the potential hazard that's coming up in front of us because of the amount of people coming in and out of those driveways. So how can we, as FDOT and as our, the designers on these projects, how can we increase awareness of the potential hazards of the high volumes of traffic coming in and out of those driveways? And I'll try not to fall as I'm walking backwards.
This has been consistent, although they just tore the shrubbery down. There's a spot there where they've had fatalities, and they let the shrubbery in the middle, not the found blue, whoever takes care of it, FDOT or whatever, and they let it go up. So those people have the same issues as at the bus stop. It's a blind spot.
Yeah.
When you're driving, you can't, and they're on their phone, and they step out, and they can't see you, you can't see them, because they're not higher than the shrubbery.
Absolutely. So maintaining the existing landscaping and making sure that you have clear sight lines for everyone, really important.
Well, here's an example where they're not in the building, so that when people pull out, they can see what's going on.
Absolutely. And not only they have the lower shrubberies here to allow people to see, but they also have that dome mirror to further enhance the
But there's one more thing that you were going to say. I know I could hear it. Every building should be required to put a stop sign there.
Well, that's the confusing thing is sometimes the buildings are controlled by signals and you still have a stop sign. So we have to have.
No, I'm saying where the mirror is.
Yeah, but in this case, it doesn't have a signal. Yeah.
Right. So FDOT should say to these buildings, we'll put the stop sign in. Now, it doesn't mean they don't adhere to it, but just as a courtesy, in each one, I mean, I don't know.
And technically, if the driveway is stop controlled, we actually do need to make sure that we have detectable warning mats and make sure that we have that detectable warning mat in place to alert people that they're crossing that intersection.
Right.
Further south, I think a lot of the stop signs are private, just by the look at them.
Oh, they are. Yeah, so they are. In our building, we have a stop sign. But here's an example where I don't see one.
Yeah. We can keep. Oh, actually, they do have one. They have one. but he brings up a good. Absolutely, yeah. Well, what is a good treatment that they provided too is a speed hump, to another feature to make sure that people are slowing down as they approach the sidewalk. It's actually a really good treatment that they've provided here. Yeah, that one is getting a little worn out. And you can see what I also appreciate is that the slope for the drainage is going this way, not going coming away from the sidewalk and not necessarily pulling and puddling in the sidewalk. All right. And one thing that you might notice, the difference between the beginning of the walk and now, is as I'm walking backwards, I'm not running into the trees that are in the middle. So it's good for me and my safety. Now there are some signs that I might run into. I do want to point out too that these are the old signal. These are the old push buttons. These are not up to the newest standard. So the any project that's on here will include the upgrade. It doesn't have the countdowns. The countdowns are so important for people to know how much time they have left. And also one thing we might want to consider, and I've talked about this in the previous, is that when we have these pedestrian refuges, that often gives people, that one has a time countdown. I don't know if this one does. But what happens often is that somebody might find an opening, and they often do this. They find an opening and they get to the middle, but they may have not actuated the button. So now they're in the middle. And I think this one's automatic recall, but if they don't have that button to push, then sometimes they're just left. And then they have to dart either back to push the button, or they have to keep darting on the other.
That won't change automatically. It'll change automatically.
Yeah, so that's good. But what we might want to encourage, or might want to think about to help actuate a pedestrian face, is to put a pedestrian push button in the middle in the refuge. So that's something to consider.
Well, this is not FDOT's responsibility, but one of the big problems with the bicycles is that there is a state statute that provides that you have to have a light. And I would say 80 to 90% of the bike riders do not have lights on their bike.
We actually, FDOT does have a program called Alert Today, Alive Tomorrow, and another program called Alert Today or Alert Tonight, Alive Tomorrow. Part of that program, they actually go out and educate communities, and they provide bike lights. Yeah. So it's more of an educational campaign.
But I haven't seen it on Miami Beach. Maybe it's in
they have had campaigns, not specifically for bike riders, but they have had campaigns on Alton Road. But that's something that we could also discuss with them and see if we can get a campaign over here.
Pedestrian enforcement on Alton Road.
Yeah, they've had those campaigns.
But bicycle ride. Look, it's hard for the police to enforce everything. But if you don't, I'm not just worried about the bicycle when I'm walking. I'm worried when I'm driving.
Absolutely.
Because I come home at night. I'm a little older. My vision isn't as good, and bicycle riders, they disappear.
And it is Florida. It is Florida law. It is, and so it is enforceable. So that is something that could be partnered with law enforcement. But I know it's very difficult to enforce. We'll keep going. Oh, okay. He brings up a good point. Although we were not really, so even though we don't have a pedestrian signal here, we are still in an intersection. There is probably a lot of driveway, in and out again movement that we want to make sure that we're still somewhat protected. So,
even if that red light is to keep us from going?
That red light, I guess, is right now, that's what we have to go on.
No, but when that's red, the left turns or detours are green. No, but this is just the opposite. Well, right now these cars can go through and they can make a right.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's so this one is
Except for those.
except for that the left turning. So this one definitely probably would need some sort of a pedestrian safe indicator, a signal of some sort. And I know we pointed this out before, but along the route, for those joining virtually, or anyone happen to be listening to me here, but we have had bus shelters and other segments, a different style of bus shelters. This one is, and some of those bus shelters even existed under trees. Now this one is completely open and no bus shelter. But again, this might be something to look at how many people are actually using this bus shelter or bus stop. And is a shelter really a benefit in this location? All right, and watch for the trip hazard again. And then as the previous driveway, as that other driveway we were talking about, this one also has stop signs. And it has another one that has that speed, a speed hump there. All right. Oh, sorry. And we can see a bus squeezing through here. And we're about to approach our first stopping point before we start the second half of our walking audit. So I will keep going here. But as we noticed before, and again we discussed last week, we've got the dome mirrors here to help with visibility. This driveway, unlike the other ones, does not have a stop control, it doesn't have a stop sign, it doesn't have the speed hump, but it does have those mirrors. Continue joining us, right? To the next
What's the next?
We were talking about. We had 6 people jaywalking right through the middle of the street to catch that bus that was coming. They completely in the middle of the street. Look at the picture.
Yeah. Do you think they may have parked at this?
Most likely they parked here, we're running over there, and the bus stop is before the 52nd 100 crosswalk. So how do you cross? But we just saw 4 of them, and I was like, nobody was looking. Here they come, here they come. So here, these missed the bus. So these are a different group. This is not these guys, but they are jaywalking to come to this because obviously that bus stop needs to be close to right over there, next to an intersection.
And then we've got another person over here using the crosswalk, but unfortunately not during a crossing phase.
Right, the bus stop is right running the street.
Yeah. So again, aligning the bus stop with the crosswalks.
Yes.
Alicia, water?
All right. So we're gonna.
Okay.
So everyone watching virtually, we are actually going to take a break so that we can recoup for our second half. So thank you again for joining in, and feel free and please join in the second. Definitely make comments, reach out to us. I'm so happy you could attend, and same with everyone in this group here today. All right, thank you. All right, hello everyone joining virtually. We're about to start the second half of our second walking audit here. And thank you all for joining virtually. If you see anything that we don't point out, definitely send us comments. Definitely interested in hearing your feedback. We are going to start here just shortly. So I'm going to gather the crowd and get us headed in that direction. Right, we're going to start heading in this direction and start looking at both, of course, the issues as well as the good things that we're seeing along the corridor. So we will begin. One thing during our break that we did see that was to mention, we saw some speeds on the frontage road, some pretty high speeds. That definitely makes it very uncomfortable for any pedestrian waiting on the sidewalk, maybe waiting to cross or waiting for a bus. Absolutely, it is a concern that if they're going at that speed, it's probably pretty easy for them to mount that curb at that speed and potentially hurt or even kill a pedestrian on the sidewalk.
The discussion just now, you and I,
Mm-hmm.
about how to enforce that. I think FDOT should have a conversation with the next, because a lot of them are buses, and they should have a conversation with the MTA on enforcement.
Absolutely. So about what can be done to make sure the buses are traveling at the speeds that are marked.
My suggestion was that there be a signage on the bus showing how fast it's going, both on the front and the back. And citizens now with these smartphones, if they see an abuse, they just take a quick picture, a video, and we have the location there, and they send that into the MTA, and at that point, MTA can take an action against the bus driver. We do that for 30 days, and the drivers who are in this area, and I'm sure they have those routes assigned to them in some way, and if they get punished or disciplined, they'll stop doing it.
I hear you. Yes.
End the problem.
Absolutely. All right. And so moving around again and now around another bus stop here. And again, I think it is to note, okay, if this person that's coming off on this bus stop, if they need to cross for any reason, especially looking at the people at the other bus stop, where are they crossing and is it convenient for them to cross at that bus stop? Mm-hmm.
I want to point out that we're watching you. You see the little camera up there?
Oh, yes.
That plan on it.
My
His
personal
counting
camera.
cars right now. He's hard at work counting cars.
So this was just put up?
Yeah.
Yep. So we are actively counting bikes, peds, vehicles at this location at this time.
Every pedestrian, every bicyclist, every car. It doesn't directly relate to lane widths and so forth, but it does give us a sense of who's using the roadway at different times of day.
So we know we are in low season now. High season already passed.
Yep. And
so the high season is very, very different than what we're seeing now.
Well, and we can normalize the counts. We can actually use what's happening now based on trends and historic data to see what the off-peak and on-peak difference is, and to see if we can normalize that.
And one thing that you can probably help with on COVID season. So, how many of the condos are being occupied now compared to how many would be occupied?
We can get you those numbers.
That would be great.
Sure.
All right, we're going to keep walking along here. And we've got, it feels a bit overcast, but thankfully no rain, not yet, but we won't try to, I guess, risk getting caught in the rain. We'll keep moving. We've got another proponent for.
What happened was, whenever you had the meetings 3-4 years ago at the rowing club, I walked out and I saw somebody, and I just said to this gentleman I didn't know, we should get rid of the frontage road. At that point, he said, wait a minute. And he brought this young lady over to me and he says, that's exactly what she said. And I said,
Everybody's been saying, what is this?
just anywhere else, on Miami Beach or in Bal Harbor or Surfside. I grew up here. I grew up on South Beach. I'm a retired, semi-retired attorney. But I used to be a mailman on the street, picking up the mail. Each one of these buildings had mailboxes for outgoing mail. So I would pull in there and pick them up. And when I was a little kid, these were all houses. There were houses on each one. That was a few centuries ago.
I don't know about these centuries. That just goes to show, though, how quickly things can develop. And unlike some of the other intersections that we saw, as I'm walking backwards here, if I'm not paying attention, if I'm walking backwards, there's actually, thankfully, there's no threat to me right now. There's no point that a vehicle's going to be pulling out of a driveway or pulling into a driveway. This point is actually pretty safe. What we're seeing right here, this right here is solely a pedestrian crossing, really. And this is something we really didn't talk much about last time. We talked about a little bit, but if we can see, we can actually witness right now the people that are actually utilizing that little park space, that bench, the nice viewing area. And I don't know how heavily utilized that is, but it is a little nice feature. Absolutely.
Parks and walking areas. That's
what
a community is about.
Absolutely.
This is a nice crosswalk right here. There's nothing wrong with this one. You know, it leads to that little park. That's fine. It's a little public park, yes. So this one is not bad. I mean, it's a little further than where it should be, but it's okay. So when you have things that make sense, don't break something that's not broken.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing that I see as an opportunity, though, again, is because the length of this might actually require a two-stage. It might require a push button in the middle, just because this is a very long stretch.
How do you cross the other side?
Exactly. So once people get to the middle there, if it took them, a long time to cross, or if they just need to rest, now they're kind of stranded in the middle.
Yeah. Well, it all depends on what we do. Because if we're going to make this narrower,
Absolutely.
the bike lane, then I'm not sure, then maybe that median.
Yeah, then we might not
come this way so we can have the bike lane going south.
Exactly. Might be able to shorten
that median is going to have to be moved this way.
Yeah. Might be able to shorten that crossing distance. And I know that a big concern always is the cracking, the conditions. gonna back up here and get a little input from the crowd here. All right, what are we talking about over here, Dan?
We're talking about enforcement. So the speeding, U-turns, delivery vehicles, and just the battles that law enforcement has to do with both when they choose to enforce and then how they do it. Because, you know, loading zones, there's a lot of judgment call about are you stopping or standing, how long are you leaving your vehicle, and they have some sympathy that, you know, that the people have to get deliveries made. So the key is, are they being unsafe as opposed to are they being unlawful?
And
Which may have been the same your case, may have been the same thing. He said, I'm going to tell you you're safe. I'm not going to worry about whether or not you're legally
absolutely. Well, and a safe and functioning roadway is a collaboration. It's a collaborative effort. It takes everything from education to enforcement to the engineering.
I will tell you that residents in Palm, especially more north of here, are almost unanimous. They really feel the reason for all the accidents is speeding. It's not the turnaround. It's not anything else. It's just simply speeding. And especially at night, if you live here, you hear it all night long. Cars zooming by.
And we can
No
actually.
one ever gets a ticket until they keep doing it.
And we can hear the speeding.
I can hear it. Through the impact glass, 12th floor, late at night, you hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I tell the camper lady. Just help me out.
Here's another driveway. I think I mentioned this last time. We can actually see the stop signs that I know it was a concern in the previous section of stop signs at driveways and where they really are needed. Well, you can see the stop signs are coming off of that ramp there, but not necessarily here, which makes me wonder, is this a one, does it actually say, it probably says it. No, it doesn't. This says an entrance. So I'm guessing that means that it's a do not exit, but we'll have to see when we come out here and review the.
I think that's the exit ramp.
Yeah. So I'm guessing they have to exit over there.
She lives here at Carriage House, and she says she's going to move because the traffic is so bad. There's so many speeding cars.
Oh,
And
one of
she's called the police so many times that she doesn't want to live here anymore.
So speeding is such an issue that we've actually have some residents at the carriage house that actually are moving. Right, and everyone, again, watch your step along the way. There's a bit of a hazard there. Now, do you guys walk out here ever at night in low lighting? I mean, because in the other section, I noticed, of course, he had the ground in lighting. I'm wondering what the lighting conditions, and of course, we'll find out because we'll come out here. But as far as from the residents, I'm wondering how the residents are feeling about the lighting conditions.
Out loud, we say, if there was a way to put these bus stops with some agreement from the owners of the property, or maybe an eminent domain, put the bus stops on their property.
They won't let you.
No, they won't let you, but it may be either an eminent domain issue to make because of the size of the street, or it could be just a courtesy.
Yeah.
Approach them and give them some landscaping or something, and move those bus stops, and now we have a sidewalk that's much wider.
Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be tight.
It's nothing's off the table, but I mean, of course, that is something that a lot of times eminent domain is not something that we do, but it is something.
But it's a benefit for the buildings. We have this association here. Maybe we all get together. If it can be proposed, we can move the bus stops. It's not going to change their property. It's not going to change their property. It'll be surrounded with plants and whatever. But it will make the sidewalk wider.
It is an amenity. Yeah.
I assume that's why there's so few benches on the beach path. I mean, I was wondering about that.
I do notice though that I don't see a lot
There's nowhere.
of homeless here.
There's not.
And even though you do have, you have multiple bus stops, multiple bus benches, bus shelters, but I don't see that here.
I always thought that was the reason. There's very few benches on the beach path.
And it's possible, and actually there are treatments that you can install on a bench to prevent that type of activity. I mean, you'll see on some, they'll have like the concrete slabs, and you'll see the like little, almost like little silver pieces on the concrete slabs on benches that it will make it so you can sit on it, but no one will be able to lay on it. So there are features that they install to make it so that people can't make a bed out of a bench.
Does the project include any funding for the sidewalk repairs?
Well, so this project is in the planning phase, but sidewalk repair there's potential to do sidewalk repair in the short term. So this project is going to take, years, but as far as sidewalk repair, there are mechanisms to do sidewalk repair in the short term. Absolutely. Yeah, because some of this sidewalk repair can be done in a shorter time frame.
I think it has to be completely replaced.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can put cement or whatever on a crack, but look at this. It's not. It's seen its best day.
Absolutely. Interesting.
And that room is a big bar.
Wow. Got quite a bit of wind here, and we also are approaching a cyclist coming our way on the sidewalk. I'm surprised he hasn't flown off the way. It's very windy out here. All right, and we've got people in the back here, and we might slow down a little bit, let everyone catch up.
What's your name?
I'm Tiffany.
Where are you from?
All right.
We'll be getting some information on how fast people are driving at different times of day.
Yeah, we are going to be doing, like you said, we are going to be doing some speed studies. And technically, though, based on this context classification, there are desired speed for a roadway that's within this context with this many people living around it. And that is a speed that's much less than what's operating right now.
Very long. I don't walk on the ponds anymore once the beach path open because it's really kind of nerve-wracking because cars are flying by. When you have those long driveways, you can be walking, somebody can be coming in behind you, somebody can be coming in front of you. It's excessively long.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, this bus stop again is taking up the majority of the sidewalk.
It's really because of that advertisement. If that was not there, then
Again, here
fine.
we can't see the people approaching.
Yeah.
But it is. And so McCain,
Yep.
you know about the bus stop in South Bay? They had it. They've changed these now. They don't have electricity, but they had one down there that was connected to electricity for the advertising area, and it wasn't maintained properly. This was about 5 or 6 years ago. Someone was electrocuted. And of course, there are areas where it's sometimes a whole different platform.
Again, the big conversation point here is the advertisement and what type of obstacles it's bringing on the sidewalk. So now we're approaching an intersection, but as a pedestrian, we're not really given much of a warning that we're approaching and that we're in an intersection. It appears that the sidewalk just continues.
We better move along.
Absolutely, we better move along before it changes on us and these people want to leave. It's actually queuing up quite a few cars in this driveway. Again, another situation where the sidewalk's slanting, and it is to accommodate that driveway, but it does pose as a bit of a risk to wheelchair users. It does not present a level surface for them to walk on. So, yep. So,
I haven't seen it this fast. Today was really bad. The other one,
Very tight on the curb. In all cases.
this is wrong, and this yield is extremely dangerous because they don't yield. Look at their speeds. Look at their speeds.
yeah.
It's wild. And then they're speeding in here and they're going into traffic.
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing a lot more speeding at these hours than what we were in our previous
Trying
walk.
to get home.
Yeah. Everyone's made dinner plans, I guess. Don't want to lose that reservation. All right. But all right, and then here we're approaching a different bus stop, one that doesn't take up as much space as the shelter, but again, it doesn't have a shelter, but it does have the bus bench. It has the trash can, the sign, of course, all the necessary components. But in the heat of the day, which it isn't right now, it might not be the most comfortable. One thing that I know that has been a concern with the group is how do people cross? If they get off at this bus stop, or if they need to get to this bus stop by a certain time, where's their crossing opportunity? And we do have, it's not too far away, it's not, maybe not ideal, but it's not too far away. There is a crosswalk. So this one might be considered a reasonable distance to safely cross.
If it was marked, you know, maybe they should. I know you're going to redo, but look at it. Look at the markings across where the crosswalk is.
Absolutely. Those markings are quite faded. Actually, I had to look twice really quick to see that is.
I was trying to figure out where it was.
Yep, it definitely needs to, the markings are faded. And really, it should be a high emphasis, those big, white, bold lines. Perhaps additional signage to alert that it's a pedestrian crossing.
Have these been present at the other intersections?
They have one here, but they do have one on the other side. So you can see one here and one there. We only get to see the back of it there, but. Actually, I'm wondering what that sign was. There appeared to be a sign there, and it may have been that same sign. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
It depends. It just depends on what the outcomes of the planning study are, and then if those outcomes are going to require what those outcomes are.
It'll take 3 to 4 years for them to do it.
It depends.
Yeah, well, I'll be living in the retirement home if I'm still around.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get some short-term improvements too. So, and I'm going to say you're still going to be cooking. You'll be riding your bike.
Yeah.
Maybe it's them fighting the wind. Yeah, it's definitely here.
Here go. This is the speeding section here. This is when they take off.
So you can see they've got a speed sign. The bus is walking now. So you know that's a step. It's not solving the problem. But when the bus pulls out, you'll see that that flashed at the car that was going past.
There you go. Here comes the bus trying to get into traffic.
And we'll see if he's going to just go ahead and.
This is why the frontage road does not work. One of the many reasons.
And thankfully the bus had an opportunity there, but.
Well, because traffic is light right now.
But yeah, if you look at the flashing sign, it's basically continuous. Everybody going by is speeding.
What'd you say about?
See the yellow flashing sign way at the end of the road?
Oh yeah.
That's a speed detector.
Oh yeah.
It's just that's the norm.
Well, that's where that's a good place for that sign, because that's where you have to stop. The sign should really be over here where you're really speeding. I mean, that's the end of the.
We may need to put a couple more of those signs. That can be done.
That's the end of the.
Well, I'll jump in online and just mention that that's one element here is that the city's comprehensive plan, which is only about 4 years old, says that the priority mode for this section of Collins is transit. And from a citywide perspective, it's because they've got, North Beach and South Beach. They've got a lot of transit service that takes tourists who park once down there or live or stay and want to go experience another part of the beach. For the people along Collins, that's people passing you. So again, the idea is slow down because you're getting to North Beach and there's going to be a lot of pedestrians. And that's from a citywide perspective true, but you have to consider there's also a lot of pedestrians here. So that's just not saying that's the only thing you should do, but that's the rationale for announcing slow down because you're coming into North Beach.
I think the wind has brought out quite a bit. Yeah, the wind. This wasn't here the other day. You know what I bet happened? I bet it flew out of the trash trucks.
That's not the wind. That's what it says.
You know, maybe we'll have another one of these where we just come and pick up trash.
Yeah. An organization doing that. Doing community service, and they gathered hundreds of kids, and they were out last week picking up trash. Here comes our other disaster.
Yeah. So now that
Look at those. Look at that bus that's blocking the entire sidewalk.
well, and actually, if you look at it from
Look at the trash can, the signs. I mean,
if you look, the trash cans actually.
major code violation.
Because you could even like it's so easy to just move that trash can back. So actually, we have a bike that's parked on the back. Is it a city bike?
Yeah, it is.
It is a city bike. So somebody just didn't return the city bike.
They couldn't use it anymore, and they just
Well, yeah, you get charged if you don't return them. So I guess maybe they ripped it from the. All right.
So on 5700, one of our members pointed out that they painted the street, and I have pictures of it, saying 30 miles per hour, but the speed limit sign says a different number. So there's a discrepancy there with that. We need to check that out to make sure. He sent us pictures of the street. I believe it's coming up, or it says 30 on the street. Ooh, I got caught here. So he said, please take a look at that if I can't make it. So let's take a look.
Okay. Does he say it was on the through lanes or in the front?
I have pictures. I'm gonna find it.
All right. While she's looking for those pictures, I'm trying to keep my eye out for him. We can actually see the newer, I guess, asphalt that's been put down.
That's because of the
Yeah, that the markings in the roadway, the speed limits that are marked on the roadway. Oh, I just stepped on pizza. It's not matching the posted speed sign. So yeah, as we mentioned further back, you can see the flashing the speed control signs there, flashing, indicating that everyone's going above the speed limit. Because actually, it's supposed to be 20 miles per hour around a curve like that. So that's why it's marked like that. So again, the yellow sign is marked 20 miles per hour, and on the ground it says 30. So there is a discrepancy. That's something.
Change the more. Or what do we do? Which one does change?
That's something that I'd have to talk to our traffic operations folks and see which one's the error.
Right, the roadway says 30, right?
Yeah, the roadway says 30. Be careful. Ooh, 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 ooh. We did not advise this. All right, she's getting those thorough notes though. We appreciate it. And I realized why we didn't see that the other day. We didn't see it the other day because we had all of that construction equipment here. All of this was full and actually blocked off.
Yep. They cleaned up a little bit. I guess they saw us and they probably.
This right here, this is all temporary. This is a temporary treatment. Now, I can't confirm when the actual, concrete will be laid, but. Yeah, we still have a little bit more to go. Nicole has joined the group.
You're home.
And we actually have, I believe that was either electric or a gas-powered bicycle that was using that.
That's why all these trucks. What was all these fire trucks about? You was the fire?
Months ago, yeah, right there. And there's supposedly a car blew up on 63rd Street right over some sort of FPL connection and caused the fire there, and it went to here. All these buildings around here still have temporary power. We have big like cable.
This was months ago.
Oh no, this was last month.
This is a month ago.
Oh, no, today something happened. We had sirens and fire trucks.
Oh, that I don't know. It was early this morning.
Yeah. When we started to walk.
I don't know what that was.
That was big.
Where is that?
Yeah, again, with the markings on the roadway where it says 30 miles per hour and the sign says 20, that's something I'll have to confirm with.
No, the sign says 35.
Yeah, they want it to be 20. I think it's because there's a bit of a curve and you're approaching that stoplight.
The turn that everyone made here when there was no traffic, you just cut around instead of waiting for the light.
That's a great sign.
Yeah, right turn only line. a sign here.
Oh, wait, that's a sign going out. So this is a dangerous turnaround. So if you're coming here, turn to the left lane, then everybody's looking. So that they've got a little trick.
Yeah.
So if you're in the right lane and you want to turn around, you're going to go into the left lane. Someone could be turning at the same time.
Yeah, this is a bit of a complicated, as this frontage road is ending, it gets a bit complicated here.
This light is a very long light.
And I know we mentioned this before about bike lights. Thankfully, the gentleman that we see ahead of us is equipped with a proper light, and he has reflective colors on, which not something you see often.
You saw how fast that light was. It's like a 20-second light. Wait 2 minutes, then the light will turn red, and then it stays red, so it allows other cars to do some things. And then the center will get green, and then it'll turn red, and it's like you have to wait 2 cycles to make a U-turn here. So a lot of people that are in the third lane, they just go. People just go.
Yeah.
Just go through the light. And it's tricky because you can have an event there, and there can be cars backed up for parking.
Yeah.
You got to be this area. You have to be a little careful.
Absolutely. Definitely is something that we need to really evaluate and look at.
Plus, there are a lot of pedestrians. It's a big cross area.
Well, we noticed the other day because of the beach access point, which is
There's one here, and then there's one at the bath club. So
yeah.
There's a couple of beach access points. There'll be one there as well.
Good.
Cross that.
And that's also really important to know, because what we noticed the other day is, again, it was middle of the day, so you have more beach activity.
Yeah.
But there were girls that were just walking right across the street, right directly to the beach access. All right. I was like, you look familiar. All right. And we
just went right through the line.
Yep.
Right away. That guy.
Yep. Got quite a few people that are just doing what they want at this intersection.
And the light's red, and you're just sitting there, just waiting. I'm not saying it's right. It's what people do.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's never any enforcement here. Never. And at night, this turn, like clear sailing, this is where there's really a lot of speeding.
We're going to let the rest of the group catch up to us. We've got Alicia and Dan back there. And I guarantee there's some good conversations happening, but we are actually approaching the end of our walk, though. So we might walk a bit further, but we are approaching the end. I'll give Dan and Alicia a little time to catch up. So again, if you are watching the video, you're noticing the queue is getting longer and longer on this frontage road as people are just waiting and waiting. All right.
think
Although
that
I
it's
have to
20 when you're making the turn. The street marking has a 20 right here, 20, and over there it's got a 30.
There's some mixed messaging there, so we have
Right.
to.
It's not only the regular. I mean, it's not only the regulatory yellow, black and yellow. That one I get. That's 20 to warn you. But the one on the street. So let me see if this is correct. So we're still out here. This is for the MBNA member group. The guy that questioned us. Just passing 57th. They're telling me that they're going to do some research. Okay.
Because we didn't, like I said, we didn't see that the other day.
Yes, we
that
did
looks
not.
like fresh asphalt. My goodness. Yeah, these people are still waiting.
Generally, the service road doesn't work so poorly. One of the big questions is there a better way to move things, to get rid of the service road and use the pavement somewhere different? So we will be looking at that.
Yeah.
Okay, this
Oh,
person just there.
oh, I thought it finally turned. No, they just went. They've just given up. They've just gone. I don't
And you
know.
know what's funny? Like again, talking about legal, that's almost a right turn on red.
Oh, and these people are going to just go too. They're getting around the cars that are just waiting, and they're just going to go.
Do that.
Yeah. You know, again, the same as last time. They're running on roughly 20.
So they finally did get the signal, and hopefully it will actually allow all these cars to get through.
You want to let everyone know we're going to write now?
Okay, so yes. So everyone, we're actually pretty much at the end of the stretch. However, we are going to, some of the staff here are actually going to cross the street, and we're going to walk to the nearest bus stop and then wait for the bus and then get on, and we'll be recording that experience, how long it takes us, and the experience of actually riding that bus to pretty much our starting point. So anybody that wants to do that with us is welcome to. Otherwise, you can watch the recording or you can join us virtually.
So it looks like again from that bus stop right there. This one up here is the express. That one has and 5 minute and 10 minute headways.
Yep, 5 to 10 minute headway. So hopefully we shouldn't have to wait that long. But yes, yeah, no problem. All right, so we're going to be crossing the road, and I will grab all of these.
A little handle for you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, you. Thank you. Yeah, so as you can see, the girl here, although she pushed the button, she gave up and she walked ahead of time. Thankfully, she pushed the button, so she gave us a phase. But and as you can see, it's already counting down. Pretty much start counting down as soon as we got on it. All right, and then I think we probably pointed this out last time. You can see, though, there is actually no detectable warning mat, which is that yellow bumpy surface that it is a requirement for ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, and that unfortunately does not have it. So that is something that definitely needs to be put down. Again, another one of our cameras, so everyone can see. We're out here actively counting.
Nice.
Do they gauge the speed limit of how fast the cars are going in this area?
No, it's not.
No, but they're going to
It's just
do
a quantity.
they're going to do tubes to measure speed.
How many?
We are seeing again more speeding, unfortunately.
And I've been driving this just as a normal the road curves, it's kind of hard to go more than about 30 or 35. I mean, most traffic, the few times I've done it, I've only been going 35. I was surprised that people were going faster.
Yeah. And again, this wasn't necessarily something that we were seeing in the morning.
Right. Now, I think there is a different, there's a different crowd with different trip purposes.
Absolutely. And we did notice, I don't know if the camera caught it, but we did notice that as we were walking, there was a trolley and a bus that passed us.
Yep.
So, with that being said, we might have to wait a little bit at the bus stop, but hopefully not too long.
Well, if you're watching it at this point, feel free to use fast forward for a little
Yes,
bit.
absolutely. If you're watching the recording, feel free. Or if you're watching virtually, give yourself a little break.
And when this goes live, this is where we'll put the commercial in.
All right. And it's pretty easy to see kind of the patchwork repair that's been done on certain segments by how bright red the sidewalk is in certain sections. All right. And again, this is a similar model of shelter that we have in certain sections of the other side. Again, we have the two different types of bus shelters along the corridor. All right, we are on the bus. And actually, quite a few people riding today. And again, we're only riding a short while here, so, but we get to definitely experience the transit in the area. All right, and we are about to get off.
I think we got a lot of post all this and we can
Yes. So I just, as a
video make it, I'll post it with the pictures as soon as you have it ready. Whatever pictures, share
Absolutely.
the pictures. We can document both and that'll be good for everything. And then what's the next step?
So
We can
next
answer
step
somebody's questions.
well, so we're gonna.
And so while they're doing that, I'm gonna close out the group that is watching online. Thank you all for joining. Again, if you have additional comments you would like to make, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Definitely interested in getting your feedback. There's also a survey posted on the website. and the wiki map that you can also make comments through the wiki map. So definitely use those outlets, and we look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you for joining. Bye.